So, hey guys, you just heard a part of the Rocky theme song, and that is because for today's movie review, I'm going to review the spin off film to the Rocky franchise, which is the film Creed. Creed is a film that focuses on Apollo Creed's son, Adonis Johnson, who's really Adonis Creed, when he finds out who his real father is. So, this is going to be a non spoiler review. That what I just mentioned there really is not a spoiler at all. Almost any source online that gives you a synopsis of the film will say either Adonis Johnson or Adonis Creed. It's just the lead character of the movie, and I had to tell you that just because, well, the film is even called Creed. So in Creed, you guys, it focuses on Adonis Johnson, who is the late son of Apollo Creed, and he really didn't get to know his dad that well. His mom, who he did get to grow up with, really was kind of an on and off figure in his life. And he's, working all these different jobs, in an office and all these other places. And he's trying to figure out where he belongs. But he finds out, and when he goes over to Mexico, that he really has a good talent like his father for boxing. He's really good at it. He seems to be winning some fights. But nobody wants to coach him. Nobody wants to bear the burden of dealing with Apollo Creed's son, and dealing with the name. So Adonis basically realizes that if he really wants to become a professional boxer, he has to kind of do it himself. So he moves to Philadelphia and he meets Rocky Balboa, who was once trained by his father, Apollo Creed. For those who've seen the earlier Rocky films. And they've fought together. They just knew each other really well. So he really wants to be connected with Rocky Balboa to really make this professional boxing sport career happen for him in the right way. So he gets Rocky to be his trainer, and Rocky from there teaches him how difficult it is to get into professional boxing and what Adonis will have to do in order to become a professional boxer. So overall, guys, I really liked Creed a lot. It is a great spin-off film to the Rocky franchise. When I saw Rocky Balboa back in 2006, I really did think that that was going to be the last Rocky film we were ever going to witness. I was wrong. We got another great Rocky film here. It's definitely the Rocky film we weren't expecting. We really weren't expecting a Rocky film to be about Apollo Creed's son. So I'm glad that they definitely took it in a direction where if you told me back in 2006 they were doing this, I would have not believed you at all. But I'm glad they took it in a route that feels unique and different, and it's more treated like a spinoff than a sequel. So for my positives and negatives of Creed, I think Sylvester Stallone's Rocky character really was analyzed and observed here by Ryan Coogler, who directed the film. He directed a film called Fruitvale Station, which I know got a lot of attention. I unfortunately didn't see this film, so I saw this film with completely open blank eyes as far as how Ryan Coogler is as a director. But Rocky, the character of Rocky, played by Sylvester Stallone, Stallone really nailed it this time around. He definitely treated this role like Mickey Goldmill, like what Burgess Meredith did when he played Mickey in the earlier films. We definitely got the coach and the trainer and the mentor side of Rocky this time, and it really worked well. If Stallone does get nominated for Best Supporting Actor, I do not blame the Academy at all. It's a terrific performance that Sylvester Stallone does here, and at times he definitely is probably one of the bigger highlights of the film because he is so good as this character. This really is a great way to continue the franchise. I love how this film really tried to be its own thing while also continuing Rocky. I think the fact that they didn't ignore Rocky at all, and the fact that they went their own route, but they didn't go so far into their own route where Rocky would feel like he wouldn't belong in that world. I like how Coogler kind of balanced the two, and it really gave us an exciting new way to appreciate Rocky in a new fashioned, new age way of appreciating the character and the franchise. Michael B. Jordan gives a great performance here. He definitely is very fit for the role too. The first shot we see him where he's about to go in for a boxing match, just the way he's built, just the way his six pack looks, the way he's able to keep up with these athletes and be able to run and be able to box, and just the way he performed the character and really felt, like he was really on his own for this whole adventure. Michael B. Jordan just really gave a great performance here, and it's definitely Oscar worthy if the Film Academy doesn't indeed recognize the performance. So if he does get the nomination or even the win, no surprise at all once again, just because Michael B. Jordan did such a great job in this movie. Ryan Coogler, one thing that he did with this movie too that I really liked, one thing that I think he emphasized about boxing that maybe Stallone and John G. Avildsen really emphasize as much in their films for Rocky is that this sport very much involves blood, sweat, and tears. There's times where we see characters mopping that up onto the boxing stage, taking that out so the boxers can continue to fight each other. Cougar has a lot of these shots specifically towards the end of the movie, and it really works well. I really think it shows just how brutal the sport of boxing can be. So huge thumbs up to Ryan Coogler for doing that. It was an interesting way to treat the boxing scenes in the movie. The film also does a great job giving us that Philadelphia feel. It does feel smoky and kind of abandoned in some places, and I liked how Mickey's Gym, we get to see what that currently looks like, and just places that we are familiar with from the earlier films. And just Ryan Coogler really captured what Philadelphia feels like and maybe smells like, and what it would be like if we were actually in that place with these characters. Just a great feeling that the film had for the movie. Adonis Johnson, or Adonis Creed, if we want to call him this, um, the girlfriend that he has throughout the course of the movie, who he meets in Philadelphia, was a really interesting character. I don't want to get into too much details about her. I want you to basically experience the movie for yourself. But I will say that there's something very tragic about her character. Like I said, I really can't get into too much detail. Sorry for those who really want to know. But there's something she's very passionate about, and there's something where the more you learn about her, the more tragic you learn what her situation is. So there's a huge tragic thing involving her character, and it involves what she's passionate about. And it was just handled really well. I thought her chemistry with Michael B. Jordan in the movie really worked well, and it also worked well with Sylvester Stallone. So just huge thumbs up to that actress. I think her name is Tessa Thompson. Really loved what she did here. Great performance. Ryan Coogler also has a ton of one-take shots. It definitely works well in the boxing matches. It really is impressive how some shots really go on for a really long time without any form of cuts. And it is pretty amazing how Michael B. Jordan, everybody involved in those shots, can really make it feel long and continuous, and like you're experiencing an entire round of boxing for yourself without any form of editing or cuts. And it kind of adds to the movie in a way, in a very interesting way. For my negatives of the movie, I thought that the opponent slash villain that Adonis Johnson eventually fights later in the movie was a pretty weak character. He kind of had a Monty Python voice, like he was auditioning for a Monty Python film, and it just really. I really couldn't get into this character. I really couldn't buy him as a villain. It was kind of a weak villain. The film kind of convinces us that this might be a strong, hard to beat character for Adonis Johnson because of the knockout record that he has. He doesn't have a lot of loses on his record. But when he gets into the ring, when he takes his robe off, I'm honest to God, I'm not making this up. He has this big beer belly. It's not even muscle. It's a giant beer belly, like he just got out of the bar and had 8 drinks. He does not look threatening at all in the ring. Obviously, the things they said about him, like his knockout record and all this other stuff, is a lot more threatening than what he actually is in the ring. And I really could not buy into this character. I was kind of laughing to myself when he first walked in the ring with Adonis Johnson. I knew Adonis Johnson was not going to have too hard of a time with him after seeing what he really looks like in the boxing ring. Another thing that I know some people might really like about the movie, I personally thought I found it kind of annoying after a while, is every once in a while when they were introduced to a new boxer character, like the villain of the movie and so on, there's these little boxer statuses that come up right on the screen next to that character. These little pop-ups that happen about their knockouts and their loses and their ties and all that. Um, it happens to every single boxer character in the movie except Adonis Johnson, who I think even has one at one point. To me, it got just a little annoying after a while. I think it maybe could have worked once or twice, but every single boxer gets one in the movie, and it just gets really annoying to me after a while. One character that they didn't acknowledge at all in the movie was Tony Duke Evers, who's played by Tony Burton in the earlier Rocky films. He's been in every Rocky film except this movie. They don't acknowledge at all where he might be throughout this entire movie. He even trained Rocky in Rocky Balboa, which came out in 2006. Tony Burton, the actor, is still alive. I don't think he's as active as he once was, though. They don't acknowledge the character at all. Really too bad. I would have liked to have seen Apollo Creed's son, get in contact with the person or talk to this person or encounter this person at some point in the movie. That unfortunately never happens. I really think that would have added to the movie, being that was Apollo Creed's trainer back when even he was training to fight Rocky in the first two films. Just me, for a film called Creed, you would think they would include Apollo Creed's original coach at some point. Not in the movie, not acknowledged in the movie. Don't know what happened. Really wish this character was in the movie. The score to me also didn't feel enough like a Bill Conti score. I don't think Bill Conti really had anything to do with this movie. But the score for whoever did the score, I didn't even look it up. It didn't have that Bill Conti feel. Like there was obviously times where they were borrowing from Bill Conti's score for Rocky's moments and everything. But to me, the score didn't feel like a Rocky score. It felt like something completely different. I understand that that's probably what Ryan Coogler intended and what the music composer intended. I think because this is technically a Rocky film, I would have liked to have seen something that at least would have felt like something Bill Conti would have composed. It really didn't feel like that here. So in the score department, I wasn't too impressed. I also thought the film could have used more Rocky elements in general. I think one thing that worked in the earlier films was, when Rocky was talking to Little Marie in the first film, or even in Rocky 6. It does feel very touching. The man feels very experienced, and he can make things interesting. It almost feels like a Quentin Tarantino film at times whenever Rocky's talking about life stuff. Some of that is here, but because it is about Adonis Johnson and not so much about Rocky Balboa, those moments are kind of lost. I think moments like that I would have preferred more of in Creed, and unfortunately, because this is more so about Adonis Johnson, we don't get as many of those moments. Overall, I am going to give Creed a 9 out of 10. I think it's a very well done movie with a very unique direction to what we really weren't think where Rocky was going to go in. But I love the Rocky character. I love the way to continue the franchise. Michael B. Jordan is great. Ryan Coogler's approach with how boxing is handled and what happens in it and why it's brutal as a sport. The Philadelphia feel. Creed's girlfriend was great. Love the character. And I love Ryan Coogler's one take shots, but the villain was very weak in the movie, didn't like him. The annoying boxer status thing got annoying to me after a while. I would have really liked to have seen Tony Duke Evers in the movie. The film needed more Rocky elements, I thought, and I would have preferred a score that felt more along the line of a Bill Conti score that we didn't get. But 9 out of 10, I think it's a terrific film. One of the better films of the year, not the best film of the year by any means. But I think it's a terrific film. I think Ryan Coogler as a director really gave us a promising film that we would love to see, him as a director more often through this movie. So huge thumbs up. If you haven't seen Creed yet, do so. Creed is a great film. 9 out of 10 for me.